.net.com or .net, or I forget what it's called. I'll look it up.
A website?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I guess I've just been watching on, yeah, when people talk about art fair reviews and they're reviewing different shows and
Yeah,
trying to remember what they are, and then I look up to see what kind of artists are there. So it's a lot of research, it seems like. I don't know.
well, back when we started, we subscribed to Sunshine Artist magazine. And it was a monthly, and it listed all the shows. So it was great if you were looking for filler shows.
So I just put it in the chat in that festival.net, and you can put in, 50 miles from me, 100 miles from me, 200 miles from me, or nationwide, and it'll list. I mean, it'll give flea markets and craft fairs and fine arts fairs. So it could be, but there's lots of information in it.
Okay.
You have to ask how far you want to travel.
Yeah, it seems like most people really travel a lot, and I hadn't really thought about going. I'm hearing the people going from Portland to St. Louis, and I'm like, wow, that's a really long way to go.
Well, that's Karen.
Karen, and yeah.
But
well, there's a couple others that I know.
There are definitely people who do an incredible amount of traveling.
Well, there are people that only apply to the top 10 or 20 shows.
And then that's what you have to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because like I talked to a jeweler that does La Quinta, and she said, well, for her, it's no big deal. She just flies there, rents a booth. But, for me, it would be quite a drive.
Right.
So, and probably.
For you.
There was a woman who used to exhibit at the Bruce Fair who lived, I think, on the West Coast, and she had a circuit. She would go from she'd drive to a show, sleep in her camper, drive 100 or 200 miles to the next show. When she got to the East Coast, she had like a dozen, 8 or 10 lined up, and then she'd drive home. So
yeah, that's the way to do it.
Or like Amos Emmett, he flies home between shows. And he has 2 vans, one in California where he lives, and the other one wherever the last show is that he did.
But how do you get enough stuff to the other van?
He takes it with him.
So he takes enough for
on the airplane.
Oh, on the airplane.
Yeah.
Paintings?
Well, he does framed batik.
Okay.
So it's like paintings.
Wow.
But just
trying to figure it out.
The stuff is small, right? So you can easily just do it by plane if it comes down to.
But then you don't have I would really need my tent because I have the shelves and all of that stuff. So it would be,
Well, he has 2 tents, one in his van in California and one in his van on the East Coast.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Like what people suggest to me to do is go to Florida, leave the van down there in the airport, and then just fly in between shows. Like if you got a set of shows in a row, you can do that. I don't like doing that because I don't want to come back to the cold. When I go to Florida, I want to come there. I don't want to drive up. Or
yeah, if you have a week off, a weekend off in between, then you could fly home.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't fly home.
Yeah.
On Monday and come back on Friday.
The people that do that all the time, but I don't think it's worth it. So, because you can, depending where you stay, some places you can just stay the whole week and it costs cheaper than forward. Or, just getting away from the environment where you are for a while is always good. But if you're looking for shows, the Alfred reviews and Facebooks, the one with the S, they have more information, but I honestly just, it depends how far you want to travel, because there's not that many. And in San Luis that might be, that give you enough reason to keep going, because you can get disappointed really fast if you not do really well from the get-go. So just ask.
Yeah, ask your neighbors next time you do a show.
Mm,
Okay.
And actually, that'll be more accurate than reviews
yeah,
if you can trust your neighbors.
Yeah.
Is Archer calendar as active as it used to be?
I don't know. I've never looked at it.
Okay.
But again, I mean, Connie's website is mostly for newbies. So you're not going to get answers to these type of questions.
I can give you a list from the 10 months of shows that I do, if that helps.
Okay.
Well, this is my deal schedule. It's Naples, New Year's year. Bonita 1. There's a Naples in the park. I forgot the name of it. Then you have Images, Boca Museum, or Fort Myers. You got Bonita 2, Coconut Grove, or Arigra. Then you got Bonnie and Kalamazoo, South Miami, or Naples. Then you got Bonita 3 or Gasparilla, Winter Park.
See, he's an expert on Florida shows.
Yeah, Florida shows. Because nothing in the West Coast is going to be that great. Then after that, you go to, if you want to stay there, then you go to Texas and you can do Bayou, Woodland, South Lake, and
Fort Worth,
Fort Worth.
and then Oklahoma City.
Yeah. The main thing that you want to keep an eye is like, you don't want to do shows in Easter Day weekend. That's the weekend that you don't want to do a show.
Okay.
Because that always change, but you have to keep an eye on that. Then in May, you're back in San Luis, so you can do Lumar, which you should definitely apply if you live in San Luis. You have Bellsville at the end of the month, the one across the river, basically, I call it, from you. You got Our Fears. You got, if you want to go to the East Coast, you can go probably Rittenhouse. Later on, you got and then in May and June, you have 57 Old Town, Lakefront, Des Moines,
Three Rivers.
Three Rivers. Then you can go in July, you can jump. There's a bunch of shows you can do. Then you got Addison, you got Ann Arbor,
State College.
so you can, if you want to go to Utah, you can do Park City and then some Valley after that. But if you want to stay close by, then you have Uptown, and that month you have Woodland, Texas. You can do Port Clinton or Bucktown. You can also do in September, then September, you're back in September, which is basically, you should know San Luis. You got San Charles over there also.
Yeah. So do you
Uh,
apply for more shows than you would get into, like more than one
Always.
per weekend?
you always, because this year I got lucky that I got to 24 shows that I wanted to do, but I got rejected about 10 of them also. So I applied like a 35 shows.
Oh, wow.
So it's a good chance that you're going to reject that half of the shows. And that's why you have to, people think that's stupid and crazy, but paying attention which 4 emails you choose, the booth and all that stuff matters, because that's the only way you can have a shot into getting to any of the show.
Oscar, a question for you. It's Erica. I heard you mention Rittenhouse Square, and I had heard that one of the Rittenhouse Squares in Philly did not have photography there.
The fine art show, there's no photography. It's just painting and sculpture.
And they
The
have
Pennsylvania
show.
Guild show in Rittenhouse allows anything in.
Okay, so when are those relative to each other?
I don't know. The fine art show, there's 2 of them, one in June, I think one in September.
Yeah, and the craft show I do is one in May and then one in October.
So
And I
they
Pennsylvania
do
Guild of-
have, so Rittenhouse does have a quote craft guild show in
It's a
both May
Pennsylvania,
and
it's the
October.
Pennsylvania Guild.
Pennsylvania.
Erica, the Pennsylvania Guild of Craftsmen puts on a whole bunch of shows over the course of a year, including one in Delaware.
Oh,
So go to the Pennsylvania Guild of Crafts website and look at their show schedule.
And Carol is awesome. The people that run the shows are really, really good people.
okay.
They
Follow-
have their summer show is indoors with good air conditioning.
Yeah.
Which is a very nice thing at the last week of July, first week of August. It's a 3-day, it's a 2 or 3 day show in a very nice facility.
Okay, so that one in summer is indoors, and then Oscar, the 2 that you do are May and October are outdoors, and they're in the Rittenhouse Square area?
Yeah, they're in the square.
Okay,
And anything that Carol runs, she's even tried to apply to be the director of the fine art show. So I don't know if she's going to get that also, but she's really, really good. She's a really nice lady. She's an artist also. She does quill.
okay. Her name is Carol.
Yeah.
Got it. So knowing the potential of the upscale Rittenhouse Square area, because I'm familiar with it, then does that crowd live up to that?
It's like any other show. Depends who walks by. And what their needs of that week they have. This is the thing I keep telling to people. What happened last year and X show doesn't mean it's going to happen again, the same show next year.
Good or bad.
Yeah, good or bad. You can make $20,000 in one show the year before and then come back and make $0.
And vice versa.
So you have to go. Most of the time I go now by, there's a bare minimum money I need to make for sure. But then after that, you have to go how the people are reacting, the crowd, how the people are receive your work. And if you feel comfortable with the people in the show and you see the potential, you should do it again and give it 3 times before you dump the show. And that's not my rule. That's a Howard Allen rule. And I don't do Howard Allen shows.
And why is that?
Because it takes 3 years before you can build a clientele and have people loyal to you. And I can tell you that happens in Nebraska a lot. If they don't see you offering now, they will not buy anything from you. It has to be something that wow them before they pull out the trigger. Once they start seeing you more often, they start buying stuff from you. We're not thinking about it.
Yeah, you need your
And
own
what do you-
mailing list.
What'd you say, Larry?
Well, you always do better if you have your own mailing list.
Oh, yeah. Well, Oscar, what do you think it is about Howard Allen shows that makes it like that?
I don't like to do Howard Allen shows because I don't like to set up in the morning.
See that's the biggest complaint.
Yeah,
He gets a ton of people. And if they're your people, you do well. But most of his shows set up the day, Saturday morning before, like at 3 a.m.
Oh, yes. This year, when I did Arlington, not only did we set up at 3:30 in the morning, but a half an hour prior, the police came through and they shut down half of the streets on the map, long story short. So at that time, whereas there was, this side of the street and then this side of the street ordinarily, then they were scrambling to make an entire other row go down the existing streets because of those that had been closed by the police. And this was, again, at 4 o'clock in the morning scramble.
yeah. So to me, it's too much stress. And this is my experience is that the collectors usually come the first day of the show for the first 4 hours. Then you get the people that come to look and they think it overnight and then buy it on Sunday. But sometimes the only people that buy from you is on Saturday morning. And if you're not fresh for that, it's really hard on you.
Although I will say that when I did Howard Allen Frederick, it was very nice because we went in on Thursday. We were allowed to set up as early as 8 a.m. on Friday. So by 10:30, we were done and then ready to walk into the pop-up Saturday at 9.
And that's how it should be. You should set up the day before because it gives you time to relax and calm down. Also, you're not rushing to get to the place because what happens if your car breaks down at 2 o'clock in the morning?
Well, Howard, I recommend renting a tent and pro panels from Howard.
I've done
That's-
it every time. The tent guys have been phenomenal.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
don't have to get there at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Well, I do rent the tent, not the pro panels, but still got there at 3:30 or so in the morning, in part because, as everyone knows, traffic, to be able to get the car in at a decent hour and unload and then get back out, for instance.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I used to love that because I'm a morning person. I would go down there after I cut back on shows, I got Howard the Shady Side show. So I had a free booth space for like 6 or 7 years. And it was a good space too. It was on a corner. And I would go down really early and set up and then just take a nap in my van.
Well, it's a good thing I don't have to set up tents for my business because I am not a morning person.
Putting it up is the easy part. Taking it down is the pain in the ass part.
Well, anyway, there were a couple companies that put on a lot of shows in the Northeast. There's Art Writer and there's Paradise City. And Art Writer does shows, the only shows they do in Manhattan now are at Lincoln Center. But they do them in the suburbs. They do one in Westport, which is a very rich town in Connecticut. They do them in Morristown, which is a very rich town in New Jersey. Though not as rich as when AT&T's corporate headquarters were there, but still a rich town in New Jersey. And Paradise City does stuff in Massachusetts and Connecticut.
So it's only on 4 of us.
Hmm?
How many people are in the meeting? Oops.
There are 7 of us today so
Really?
far. One has no TV on, no video on, and is muted, but is here.
Wow.
So Oscar, did you decide on that photo that you posted on Larry's site as your final booth image, or have you done more tweaks since then, like days ago?
I've got to go with that one. If I have chance on Friday to photograph it with the real camera, I might do it again, but so far that's the one I'm going to use because I'm not going to tweak it more than what it is. I think it's good enough in my opinion. I'm not trying to make it from my personal experiences. Like I don't think that you can make the booth look perfect like some people do, because it doesn't look anything like that at the show, and you always taking that the director might not want you back the following year, or she blacklists you from there because your booth, you get the wrong impression of you got to be a professional, and then you come out like a fraud person or person that trying to, I don't know. It's one of those things that that I learned the hard way over here. So
You said that you learned the hard way.
Yeah.
So how's that?
oh, it comes like one of the things that I get the most in the art shows is like I don't know, sometimes it's joking or not, but I don't want people to be saying, oh, you got in because you're Hispanic, or you got in because you're minority, or you know the director, that's what you're doing in here. And I don't want people to be thinking that I'm getting in just because who I am. I want people then understand that I get in because I work, no, because who I am. So, and I'm pretty honest with everything that I do. I don't, if it's not a good enough, it's not good enough. I don't want to force the issue. That's what I do on installations. So if I don't get into one show, I hang out, work through the whole week, so I have to start. So it's a
Is
lot
that
of
why
fun.
you said in the Facebook post that you felt you were taking a risk by not putting your flip bin in the photo?
Yeah, do
And
you have your bin in your final booth picture?
nope, because even I'm going to tell you, that was the most hilarious thing this weekend when I was doing Third War. Everybody was talking to me about the band. Everybody in the show. It was like everybody, that goes Oscar's band right there. So like going like, okay. So no.
So you're not going to have a bin at the show?
I'm going to have the band in the show, So I just going to say it. I put it in the back of the wall. I don't like it in the back of the wall because it doesn't. It's kind of funny because depending on what show it is, having the band in the front, it's a negative. In other shows, having the band in the front is a must. So,
Well, I don't think a bin should be in the front, but then again, I don't block 2/3 of my entranceway either.
half of the entrance,
Half of the entrance.
is 58 inches. So you still have, it's a little bit above half of that. It's just half of the entrance, it's not 2/3. So, but it's all the way to the back. So, it's one of those things that when you see and the photo doesn't make that much sense, but when you walk inside the tent, you understand why I do it that way. Plus, I always have two entrances. I used to get a corner, so you can enter to one side or the other one, and any way you enter feels comfortable. You can even roll with a wheelchair inside there, roll around and walk out. So, with no hitting nobody. All those things. I got one more hour sitting in my van before the clients gets home. It's going to be fun.
I sent you that email, Oscar.
Okay. I appreciate. Oh my goodness.
So I wonder where Barry is.
Oh, it's I didn't call him this weekend.
Well, didn't he do a show?
I don't think so. I don't think so. There was another artist this weekend that I learned they got scammed big time. They took almost $18,000 out of their account through sale. So it was,
What happened?
you know, I was trying to tell because I went through that myself like a few years ago. And what I learned is like if the bank calls you, you hang out the phone and say, I'll call you back. And you should be calling the number in the car or the number of the bank and you directly and talk to them. If they call you, they start asking you all this information, as most of the time it could be in a scam, and that's what happened. They have somehow they got the social security, all the personal information for her. And I feel really, really bad for her because it's not an easy thing to go through. So they had to open a new personal account and a new business account. And she have a good show this weekend, but I'm going to tell you, it's not. They're getting smarter and smarter and smarter about it. So just have to be really, really careful.
So the scammers pretended to be a bank calling her.
And they do the same, like at the bank now send you a code to verify it's you. Like when you call the bank, sometimes they say, I need to, you get them, my bank asks me for, what is your passcode? And then they're saying, okay, now I'm going to send you a 4 text digit to you. And then you have to wait for the text and then enter it or give it to them over the phone. And everything looked legit because they do that all the time now. And it wasn't a scam. So just keep your eyes open on those things.
They do it pretending to be utility companies too, not just banks.
Yeah.
And I'm getting these regular emails asking me to confirm or deny that I spent $800 on Amazon for an iPhone when I
I got
didn't.
one of those today, $799.
Right.
In the garbage.
Yeah, and you don't want to get all the time. Your loan is being approved, and I'm going, what loan?
Right.
Or you get you qualify for this loan, please call us. And they're like, I'm not interested in, nothing like that. If I need a loan, I will go to the bank. So it's just scary how they're doing. They're getting really, really, really good. which is really scary.
True.
But have you noticed there's no more extended warranty phone calls?
No extended warranty from whom?
The extended auto warranty,
Oh, yeah.
they figured out who was doing it and they stopped it.
That's good.
I still
Yeah.
get some like that, but I don't get that many.
Right.
So the only way they're gonna completely end the robocall stuff is to make it cost something to make a phone call. So I've emailed my congressman and both my senators and said, if Congress passes a law that says that you have to put a tiny amount of money in the account of the person you're calling before the phone rings, almost all of this stuff will disappear. And what do I get from the congressman and both senators? You'll be pleased to know that we have passed a law that won't do any good whatsoever.
I figured they'd offer you a percentage.
But that's the thing with cell phones, it's unlimited calls. So that's why you have a cell phone. No one rotary call. I don't know how old, well, you guys are old enough. You remember when you dial and every time you dial it will cost you something.
Yeah,
Then-
right. But
Hey,
it used to cost you something, and these
I-
kinds of scams didn't happen because you need to have. If you can make 1,000 phone calls for free and get a sucker, you're doing fine. Even if it's 10,000 calls for free and you've got a sucker, you're paying for a computer and a recording.
I used to have a toll-free number. And every time somebody called me, it cost me 25 cents.
Yeah.
I got rid of that right away.
Right. So now, you pay for your phone and you pay basically a monthly fixed fee for an unlimited number of calls. And for that matter, a lot of times the people who are calling you are tapping into the system and not paying a phone company for the privilege. They're frequently in other countries, and they spoof real phone numbers so that if you call back, you get, you every so often I get an irate message from somebody about me harassing them, who I've never heard of and never called, because somebody's misused my phone number
Wow.
to pretend to be me making the spam phone call. So
Yeah, I've started getting, occasionally get a text message. Are you home right now?
Oh,
Something simple. And of course, I just delete it.
Mm.
And then I do a Google search for the phone number that it came from.
but it could be a completely legit number that the owner didn't know
No,
was used.
it's not legit.
Well, it has happened.
Yeah.
So, but if it costs a penny to make every text, and a penny, unless you were whitelisted, right? If people you want to talk to, you can make it free for. The old software that they used to charge us for making outgoing calls could be resurrected and repurposed for incoming calls. It wouldn't be very hard. Or it could be written from scratch and it wouldn't be very hard. But it would have to come from a legit phone company.
yeah. At least you get emails like that anymore. Everybody got smart about it.
Hey, before we got cable, I used to dial up to do web work.
That's what you did
And
25
we had a
years ago.
separate phone number just to connect to the computer.
Yeah. American Online.
Katie, you're muted.
I still have my AOL account. That's the one I use. We
Oh
had it
my-
since it was a paid account.
Who owns it now? Verizon?
I have no idea. It still says AOL.
Well, yeah, but AOL merged with Time Warner and then was spun off and bought and then spun off or sold again. I forget which company now currently owns it. I think it's Verizon,
Well, we have Verizon cell phones, so
but it's just a coincidence because you had AOL before Verizon bought it, so,
yeah. Well, we had AOL when it was AOL only.
right.
Yeah, and they got all these famous people to record You've Got Mail.
Yeah.
Well, they used to have, I don't know, these channels or whatever you want to call them on there. They were social media, but just for people on AOL.
Right.
And some of those were pretty good. And then when they, I don't know, expanded or whatever, those all disappeared.
Well, AOL went from being highly valued to not valued very much to more valued as a brand. And in the meantime, Facebook took over much of that.
And I was on Etsy when it was still, you had to be the artist making the stuff to
Right,
sell.
handmade.
Yep, and you had to be the one making it to sell it. So you now can still call it handmade if you design it and have it jobbed out, as long as it's handmade still. But
How do they verify?
I don't know. I guess you have to send in pictures of the production line or something.
Hmm.
But they'll design it, send it over to Philippines or wherever. And, it's a little cottage industry there to make these things, and then you can put those up for sale. Although now it's just plain factory made that's going on, and it says handmade because somebody handmade it. It's not necessarily, individual type thing doing it. It's a factory.
Mhm.
That's what they said, all the fast fashion stuff. Well, that's handmade by somebody. So, it's a line of sewing machines and they just keep on feeding in the, pieces, do all the side seam on one side, flip them over and do all the side seams on the other side, whatever. So. Next week, or no, the 22nd, 2 weeks from now, I'm supposed to be having a table at a business expo. So that's going to be a bit different than whatever. I'm not really sure how.
You have to
do it.
let us know what it's like.
All I know, the lady running it is a friend, so she says, please. I can't do it like that. I have to be able to sit there and sail. But she said it's limited to 2 jewelry or 2 clothing tables for the whole expo out of, I don't know, I think there's like 75 tables. So that's not the problem. It's that the only other jewelry I've seen at these things are multi-level marketing type things.
Well,
Multi-level marketing,
Yeah,
pyramid scheme.
T-shirts or, Ulu, whatever, exercise clothes type of things.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But it's a 6-foot table with a chair. It's, I guess 5 hours.
I have a tabletop display that it looks like pro panels. It's the same light gray. And there are 4 panels that are 3 foot high by 2 foot wide.
Hmm.
And it is really cool. It's great for displays, tabletop displays like that.
Well, what I have in my background is what I did at Comic-Con this year. That was the setup.
Oh, wow.
Oh, but the way that's set up, it's like you set up your gallery exhibit type of thing, and then all sales go through the desk. But, 5 days for $35 per space, which for me, it was 2 spaces. So the parking costs more than the,
So that's $70 for how many days?
actually 4 days. We set up on Wednesday and then it's open for sales Thursday through Sunday.
Oh,
And then,
wow.
So
they have,
That's
you
pretty
might do
cheap.
quite well there.
huh?
You might do quite well.
I did it at Comic-Con. This business expo is one evening, about 5 hours. So 4.5 to 5 hours. Like I said, we'll see. Like I said, my competition would probably be what is it, Park Lane Jewelry or something of the sort. But it's multi-level marketing type stuff. And the clothing I've seen at these before have been like, yoga wear.
Make a sign that says handmade by artist.
Yeah, I will. I think I'm not going to be the only artist at
Right.
all here.
Make sure that they know it.
Yeah, yeah.
So what happened to Bonnie?
I don't know. Maybe she's still sulking after last week.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, my goodness.
I haven't,
Okay, someone fill me in. Why is Bonnie sulking?
We were talking about booths, and Bonnie thinks that your booth must match exactly what's in your booth picture. Not representative, or, I mean, if you have a doorway in the back of your booth, you need to have it in the booth picture. Which is a little too much.
And that's the point that I'm trying to say. Like, there's a lot of directors that think like Bonnie, but they don't say anything to you.
I don't think so.
So I hope that you're right, because
I mean, there are very few shows that compare your booth picture.
Yeah, that is true.
I know for Howard Allen, then I was told they'd be coming around and taking a stealth photo, and then they send it back to the office, and then they compare it. And then if they don't agree, then they'll send you an email to that effect. And I actually saw Elaine when she took the stealth picture of my booth, as she was trying to be stealthy over there, kind of in the corner, taking the picture. So I know that they did in fact do that and did a comparison. So just 2 cents, I did experience that.
Have they ever thrown anybody out?
well, that would,
I think question, and that's what I was saying. Like, they might not do anything at the show, but you might never be able to get into the show ever again. Because they don't want to create the drama, so they're just playing safe and then you blacklist you for the next year.
Yeah, but then they would tell you it's your booth.
They don't have to.
Now they do.
Well, she said, for the record, for Howard Allen, she said that they would send you an email. They would be very upfront with you. They would detail for you. They would, they were taking the picture stealth, just not being obvious about the fact that they were, there and you were trying to do business with customers. They were trying not to interrupt you. But that from there, everything would be very straightforward. Everything that I've experienced with Howard Allen has been absolutely wonderful.
Except for the setup morning.
That was my favorite thing about Howard's shows. I never have to get there a day early.
Maybe I'm getting on, but no. I just want to, no.
Well, it's been over 20 years since I did a show with him.
I can't even tell you. It's taking forever to record from I finished the show in Milwaukee. I got home like 8 o'clock and I didn't want to get out of bed until noon the next day. I was so wiped out. And the only reason when I got out because I needed to meet some friends for dinner. If not, I would have stayed home. So what shows are good between November and December? Because I'm give up with any shows in that time of the year. And definitely not in Florida.
Well, then they're all indoors.
All indoors. I need to look into that just to maybe have one every month.
The Autumn Festival.
Mhm.
Do you know what that is, Oscar?
No.
It's I think they used to be out of Omaha, but I think they moved to Chicago. They used to have a show at the Odeum.
Okay.
And I think they lost the Odeum this year, so they were looking for a new venue. And it's a mixture of crafts and art. A lot of crafts, a lot of country crafts, but they get a ton of people.
Okay.
I mean, on opening on each morning, they're lined up to come in.
Wow. Because of the one of the kind show, that's way too much money. And I don't think the winter first are worth doing.
Yeah, they have one in Minneapolis at what is it? Canterbury Downs Racetrack.
Okay.
And the one in Chicago used to be at the Odeum.
I'll look for it.
Yeah. Remember Art Plus used to have a thing at the O'Hare Airport Convention Center?
Yeah. I do miss that. I quite honest with you, from all the companies that went away, R Plus is the one that I miss the most.
I used to do some of their shows.
Because it was the only thing in town in the
winter.
winter months.
Right.
Yeah. And I didn't care. You can just dolly out. But now the most are history. That model doesn't work anymore. So we'll see what happens. Oh my goodness. Well, guys, I'm going to let you go.
Same here. It's been good. Thanks for the info.
Be
Good
good.
seeing you, Oscar.
Nice seeing you. Bye.
Thanks for the info, Frank.
You're welcome.
You're wonderful as always, Larry. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Erica.
Bye. I guess we're winding down. Anybody?
I guess
have
we
anything
are.
To say?
Not unless you have any business expo advice.
Not your part of the country, but I don't, what's a business expo?
It's all like entrepreneurs of some sort. I mean, Frank would fit in well there. I mean, have a table and discuss, setting up websites and everything.
Okay, so there are
Right.
companies that are
people doing
trying to get picked, there are people with a small business trying to get picked up by bigger businesses?
No, or just local businesses, work in general. There's software people, there's caterers there with samples of what they make. There was a
That sounds
DJ
like fun,
DJ there. Yeah, that's the draw, free food.
right?
Well, actually, there's a entrance fee, but I guess there's a little, I don't know, it's not exactly a speech, but sort of a podcast type setup, except it's live. I don't know if they're going to record it or not.
Oh, I'm sure they record it.
I don't know who it is that's doing it, but I was going to go just to go, but she said, please.
Probably be more interesting to go for an hour or two than to be trapped in a table for 6.
Yeah, well, there's a break where everything shuts down for this presentation. And then, back. Then you have a half hour to pack out. So they can close down the place. It's fairly close to the beach, and the place is a spiritual retreat center, but they rent out their main room, I guess, to, local events like this.
Spiritual retreat.
Yoga conventions and stuff are there.
Mhm.
New Age, and that's what it started out as. I guess the people that started it up are New Age ministers of some sort.
Self-selected clergy.
They seem to be pretty well entrenched, though. I mean, they've been doing it for years. I don't know. They have some sort of divinity degree, but I don't know from whom. I don't
Okay.
recognize them. Probably, one of the minor Christian sects or something. And then they added in all the other stuff. But and they're business people. They run the center. The lady who's putting on the expo is a marketing person.
Mm-hmm.
So, and she's been doing this about 10 years, but she says, this is the last one. It's draining. She's in a total tizzy for a month at least before.
Well, I'll say goodbye and see you all next week.
Okay. It's the 13th, yes. I should be here next week.
Okay. So long.
All right,
Bye-bye, Frank.
so I guess we'll call it a night.
Well, an afternoon.
Yeah, depending on where you are.
Bye bye.
All right. Bye,
Okay.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.